Welcome back to the E24 LT1 swap behind me. Today we're going to be doing the tie rod ends, the steering knuckles and the tie rod ends for this vehicle. Now we're going to be doing this in conjunction with the E31 S85 tie rods. Take a look at the video right up there and you will see that we're going to be doing both of these at the same time. Why? Because they are very different assemblies, and I've gotten a lot of questions about why am I doing them so differently. The steering rack is mounted in front of the knuckles here. The steering rack is mounted behind the knuckles here with an offset of the tie rod extension. So here we have a much different assembly here, but we created our own knuckles that go in front of the spindles instead of behind, which is very common and is the normal BMW engineering solution for drag link steering. You'll find it on the E38s, the E24s, the E38s, I think I said that. You'll find it on the and of course, yeah, the E31s. So yeah, I mean, there is a lot that goes into this, and we are going to be going through and designing and installing the E24 front tie rods to be mounted onto this Porsche 996 steering rack and pinion. Thanks guys, take a look. Welcome back to E24 land, and today we have our tie rod knuckle ends and our entire assembly here. Let's go through this really quick. These guys were cut by Wolf Tech Fabrication. It was a CNC plasma assembly that I had designed and had him cut. I basically gave him the DXF and he cut me these pieces. There are two different pieces. This one is the top piece and this is 3/16. Actually, I think it's 1/8. And this guy here is 1/4 inch, and that is on the bottom. So what we're gonna do is basically mount these puppies together, and we're gonna stitch weld on all of the holes here, and we're going to get a really nice thick piece. These guys here are our spindle arms, where they're gonna be connected to the outer tie rods. These are going to be custom made, and they're gonna be shortened, and they're going to be drilled, center drilled, and tapered. These are the existing ones that I was going to put in here, but I thought that the design looked a little shoddy, so I decided to just leave these alone. I bought these. These are 1 3/8 inch diameter. They basically fit right inside of here, and they will fit. It's a very tight fit, but that will end up fitting there, and that'll get welded as well. This will end up getting drilled and tapered with a 7-degree reamer, and we'll do that all today in this episode. This was the prototype that I built, and I had bent it in 2 different places, which we will do here as well. And what is the last thing? Oh, we have our hardware that basically mounts each of these 3 holes. There's one there, and then one here with the spacers in order to offset it onto the bottom of the spindle arm. We have our outer tie rods, and then we have our tie rod knuckle ends, which basically connect the Porsche ends to the BMW E24 ends. This one has already been slightly modified. I do need to lathe this and face it, and then I can weld them up. This one has not been modified yet. This has a female right-hand thread, and this one has a left-hand thread. So when you turn it, it'll end up pushing them both together or both apart, which is excellent, and that's what we want. All right, so all the pieces are now here and ready for welding and install. These puppies were sized, they were drilled out, and they were honed and reamed. So now they fit perfectly on the 7-degree taper of an outer tie rod. Perfect. And this guy just screws right on there. I'm probably gonna end up using some sort of maybe a washer there. But anyway, this is the way it's gonna be. And these guys are gonna end up getting welded together, and they will be stitch welded in here and along the sides as well. And then we're gonna start making our bends that are that replicate this look here. It's gonna be a bend right here and then a bend right here. And obviously the other one is going to be a mirror image of that. Once these are done, we can focus on installing them and then doing the tie rod ends. All right, so I've decided to pre-assemble one of these, and I got my 3 bolts here with my spacers, this thickness of the actual outer tie rod spindle end, and I'm not sure exactly where I want to place the knuckle you know, the actual tie rod reamed hole. But the higher it is, the worse it is. As you can see, the output of the steering rack is there, and I gotta make sure that this is literally as low as possible. Now remember, I haven't placed any bends on this, which will actually place this lower. It'll bend it, I'm gonna bend it down and over. So this will actually be lower. But this has been pumped up to be just about ride height. As you can see here, it is higher up, but this car is also going to be lowered too. So we need to keep that in mind, is that, you know, we really don't want this inner tie rod to be too high up. That's really bad, right? That is really where we want our tie rod to prevent any type of bump steer. The higher it is at ride height, the more bump steer you're gonna have, and the same thing with lower. So when you lower a car, the tie rod will be more and more like that. So the idea here is to make sure that at ride height, this output is as level as possible. So you see how this is basically sitting at ride height, as high as I can go without lifting the car up off of this stand. The tie rod is basically level, and I've got to make my tie rod extender here between the two, right? One's right hand thread, one's left hand thread, but they are basically in line with each other, and it's pretty level. And that's really what you want to avoid any type of bump steer, is to prevent that from happening and keep this as straight on level as you possibly can. So this is actually pretty good. I'm pretty happy about how this is turning out, and now it's time to make the tie rod. So these are all the parts for one side. Let's clean them all up and let's final weld them. All right, gotta final weld a lot of this stuff, clean it up, fine tune it, and then we'll reinstall. So now that the installation is essentially mocked up, I've got my inner tie rod, I've got my outer tie rod, I've got my knuckle here, I've got my ball joint, and I have my spindle arms. Both of these guys are equal length, equal angle, and as you can see, it's angled downward in line with the lower control arms, that they both go up at the same arc. That is what allows you for perfect or very minimal bump steer. So let's turn it and let's just see how it looks. So the spindle arm hits the lower control arm, and that's mainly because everything's sagging so low. But when everything is brought up, there's gonna be no interference. So let's just do one arm and let's see what that one arm looks like as simulated at ride height. So I got this side raised up, and I had to disconnect that tie rod because when I go full tilt, that side is still gonna hit the lower control arm. But if I were to turn this, see here, full lock left, and full lock right. So yeah, I mean, we really won't know how this thing is going to act and perform until we put it on the ground and really go around the block and see how it performs. But for now, I think this is actually a really good setup, and I feel pretty comfortable driving this as it is today. And we'll just have to keep on moving with this build and just make tweaks as we go. So guys, my name is Frank Macaluso from Garageaholic. Thanks a lot for sticking by and watching me build this E24 LT1. And if you're interested in anything else, please give me a call, give me a text, give me a whatever, right? Contact me any way you guys like. Thanks a lot for watching. and take it easy, guys. Later.